Good morning. My name is Emily, and I will be your chairperson for today's Dharma School service. Are there any visitors or new students here this morning? If so, welcome to our temple. Could those of you sitting near them help them find the proper pages for the sutras, gathas, and readings? Thank you. First, we'll have Sambujo on page 24 in the Big Book, followed by sutra chanting Juseige on page 23 in the Little Book or page 93 in the Big Book. The page numbers for the sutra book will be displayed on the front screen and on your monitors at home, so please follow along.
쇼빙업 세이프 조성악 나시 조무주노 묘쇼 존진모 극혐이 쇼몬 세이프 조성악 리오 그진쇼넨 조에슈몽요 시금전노 이쇼텐닌십 진네히엔나이꼼 부쇼무사이노 쇼조상구묘 오사이슈야구난 가이히지앵엔 매신코모안 해송쇼아구노 스나즈젠슈몬 보소조만족 이여로제법 니칭아즈슈주기 땡콤풍엔 이슈카이호솜 호세쿠노쿠홈 조오다이슈춤 셈모시싱음 구여이사이붓 그송슈통우혼 난내시조조만 도쿠이상아이옴 녀무츠문계집 전다츠미후쇼 강아쿠에릭 보시사이쇼선 싱난야고갑 다이센노간노 고쿠쇼텐닌 도우침명예 신운동우 변호세사이 도모나이신 원조 Namanda, 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 namanda.
Okay. Now we will have Gatha When We See the Golden Sun on page 101 in the small service book, followed by the Golden Chain, which is located on page 2 in the little book, or page 15 in the big book under Golden Chain 1.
When we see the golden sun shining from above, we are mindful of the Buddha's love. O'er us all his pure compassion sheds its steadfast glow. By his doctrine, wisdom's way to show. When we see the silver moon gleaming in the sky, we remember still our Lord is nigh. By his blessed law to guide us through this earthly night, out of sorrow into joy and light.
The Golden Chain.
I am a link in Amida's golden chain of love that stretches around the world. I will keep my link bright and strong. I will be kind and gentle to every living thing and protect all who are weaker than myself. I will think pure and beautiful thoughts, say pure and beautiful words, and do pure and beautiful deeds. May every link in Amida's golden chain of love be bright and strong, and may we all attain perfect peace.
Namo Amida Butsu.
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 Now we will have a Dharma lesson by Rinban Sakamoto.
Good morning. Good to see you in this kind of chilly. Every day it seems to get chillier in the morning. Got to wrap up and bundle up. By the afternoon, it's kind of warm again, so we got to kind of unwrap everything that we came in with. Well, it's good to see all of you here in the Hondo, and for those of you joining us on YouTube, thank you for coming to the service this morning. There is a story of a student of Shakyamuni Buddha, and she didn't start out as a student. She was just a person who was kind of looking after her own concerns in her own life. And then she had a son, and one day her son got ill, and eventually her son passed away. And she was so upset by this, as we would normally be, right? If someone close to us dies, it's very upsetting. But she wanted to do something for her son and to somehow cure him. And so she picked up her son and she went to people and asked her, please help me cure my son. And everywhere she went, they would tell her, there's nothing we can do. Your son has died. And she refused to hear that. So she went from person to person, carrying her son, asking for them to help. And of course, everyone she met said, no, there's nothing we can do. Your son has passed away. We're really sorry, but there's nothing we can do. But one person told her that she could possibly go, if she would possibly go to the Buddha who's nearby, he may be able to help you. And so she carried her son to the Buddha. And the Buddha realized immediately, of course, that her son had died. But Shakyamuni Buddha said, leave your son here for now, and I will help you if you can go to a home and ask for one mustard seed. And she said, is that all I have to do, just get a mustard seed? And he said, yes, bring this, go to a home and ask for a single mustard seed. And she was very happy. She said, okay, I'll do that. And Shakyamuni Buddha said, though, this mustard seed must come from a family that has not experienced death. And she said, okay. So she went to every house. She went to the first house, and the person there said, oh, sure, we'll give you a mustard seed to help you with your son's death. And she said, no, but thank you very much. But the mustard seed, but have you experienced a death in your household? And he said, yes, a month ago my father passed away. And they said, okay, thank you for the mustard seed, but I can't take this receive this mustard seed. So she went to another house. And the next house that she went to, they were gladly willing to give her the mustard seed. But always the question, has someone in your family passed away? Has someone in this household passed away? And the response was always, yes, someone passed away. And slowly, little by little, as she went from house to house, she realized that there is no household in which someone has not passed away. That this is something very much a part of who we are. And so she returned to Shakyamuni Buddha, understanding what she had experienced, and thanked Shakyamuni Buddha, and she was able to lay her son to rest. This, of course, is the story of Hisagotami and the mustard seed. The death of her son is a tragic experience that hopefully none of us go through. But at the same time, it is something that can occur for any one of us. The uncertainty certainly can be unsettling. But in Buddhism, we are reminded that everything is changing. The practice of incense burning reminds us of how things continue to change. Even as an incense is burning, it's not just disappearing, it's changing from one form to the next. Everything is in a process of change. Sometimes that change can bring dissatisfaction, unhappiness, grief, but also can bring happiness into our lives. It can bring into our lives an understanding, as with Hisagotami, understanding something that the Buddha was trying to teach her. Not through saying, oh, Hisagotami, how can you think that your son will come to life again when your son has died? You must go on with your life. Bad things happen, so don't dwell on the past. Go into the future and try to make the best that you can. No, Shakyamuni Buddha very patiently instructed her to go. And through her experience, Hisagotami was able to understand that these things, the difficulties and the challenges that we experience, are shared by many. It's not just me who's experiencing these challenges. And maybe it's not the death of someone, maybe it's something else that's causing us great difficulties in our lives. What Shakyamuni Buddha is saying, that these changes that occur in our lives that may bring difficulties, if we are able to kind of look at the world around us and come into contact with others, not necessarily others who have experienced the same thing that we're experiencing, but begin to talk to others, make contact, be in touch. That the experiences that we share, that we think is only by ourselves, is really something that may be shared with others. And in understanding that, we can perhaps begin to see how connected we are to the world around us, that we are not by ourselves in our unhappiness, or not only by ourselves in our joy as well, that we can share that with others. The things that we experience in our lives, may bring us joy or sadness. One of the first things that Shakyamuni Buddha talked about was the Four Noble Truths. We do indeed encounter difficulties in our lives. But if we can begin to connect with the world around us, we may begin to see that these difficulties, these challenges that we experience, are shared by others, are a part of who we are as human beings. So when you're facing these kinds of challenges, these kinds of difficulties, don't just keep it to yourself. It's something that you can talk about with others, or share with others. Sometimes it may not be easy to do that, but if you can open up this conversation, open up with our feelings and our thoughts, with those who you trust and those who you are close to you, that they can share with you their experiences and provide you with the kind of support and care that you might be in need of. And then again, if somebody comes to you, you might be in a position to share with them your understanding, your appreciation, your joys, and help another person who might be experiencing difficulties in their lives. We share a deep connection with all life. That infinite life we think of as compassion that supports us, cares for us, nurtures us. And we respond. In Jodo Shinshu, we respond. And we say Namo Amida Butsu for the vow of Amida Buddha that provides for the enlightenment of all beings, for the joy and happiness for all beings. It's something really simple, but if we can kind of remind ourselves that we are supported and cared for by the world around us, that even in the most darkest of times, that there is a light that can move us toward deepening appreciation for the world around us. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Rinban Sakamoto. We will now have Gatha farewell on page 45 in the Little Service Book, followed by the Promise look it on page 5 in the Little Book or page 15 in the Big Book.
Dharma school is over for another day. Let us gather round the shrine, bow our heads and say, thank you, teacher, for your help. Thank you, everyone. Buddha's love will keep us safe till our work is done. So we'll meet again next week. Won't you take good care? Let us try to do what's right, always kind and fair. We shall spread the happiness faith in Buddha brings. Now it's time to say goodbye till we meet again. Namu Amida Butsu, sing this fine refrain. Namu Amida Butsu, sunny day or rain. Namu Amida Butsu, strong in faith remain. Namu Amida Butsu, till we meet again.
The Promise. We thank the Buddha for showing us the way of freedom. We will endeavor to walk in his noble path every day of our lives. Namo Amida Butsu.
Namo Amida Butsu.
Namo Amida Butsu.
Namo Amida Butsu.
Namo Amida
Namo
Butsu.
Amida Butsu.
Thank you to Rinban Sakamoto, Mrs. Tanabe, Mr. Akizuki, organist Mr. Yoshihara, and AV coordinator Mr. Endo. Are there any announcements?
Morning. Just a reminder, this Saturday is the community-wide curry cook-off. That's taking place here in our gym from 5:30 to 7:30. They're still taking sign-ups. The latest Dharma newsletter that just went out has the QR code that you can access to purchase the tickets. They're $30, or if you're 6 to 12 years old or senior, 65 and over, you're only $15. And children 5 and under are free. So the way it works is they're going to have about 8 or 9 cooking teams making curry. So when you go in, they're going to give you samples of all 8 or 9, so you can try each of them, and then you vote on the one you think is best. And then they're going to award some small cash prizes to the top 3 at the end of the event. In addition to the curry, there are also side dishes. So sorry, I have to read this because I couldn't memorize them all. So they're going to have, besides the curry and rice, they're going to have edamame, gyoza, salad, shoyu wieners or shoyu hot dogs, fukujin. I don't know what that is. Pickled tsukemono? Red? It's red. Okay. I don't want it. Okay. But I know some of you just love that stuff, but not me. Okay. Anyway, and then after you do the tastings and you go get your curry, they're all going to be numbered 1 through 8 or 1 through 9. There's going to be 8 or 9 of them. So you just go up to get in line and say, I want number 8 or I want number 7. And so it's going to be anonymous. Last year, it was different. You knew who was making which curry, and this year they want to keep it. So, last year people were picking Rinban Sakamotos because they thought they had to, or something. That's why he came in 3rd. But anyway, so there'll be different entries. Hopefully you'll pick mine because I'm one of the cooks, because they were running short on cooks, so they were really desperate. So they asked some of us to do it. So the one that tastes really bad, that's mine. So please vote for that one. Thank you.
Just a commercial for Fukushinsuke. I'm a connoisseur of Fukushinsuke, but it's actually quite good. If you haven't tried it, especially try some. It doesn't have to be red. It's actually originally pickled plums that give the color. So, but if you see bright red, yeah, that's food coloring. I don't like it either. Junior choir, we are still recruiting. We typically have to be in 3rd grade or higher. If you are really, really interested, we would still love to have you, even down to 1st grade. I'll have to talk to you and just make try out, see how you are interested. But 3rd grade, if you love to sing, you don't need any musical experience. We will train you. Okay? So we are meeting today after Dharma school classes. So thank you.
Good morning. Just a quick announcement for 4th grade class. Mrs. Pike wasn't able to make it today, so if you would please go to the 2nd and 3rd grade classroom today. That's 2 doors down from your normal classroom. Be great. Thank you.
Before everyone leaves the temple, please straighten all the books for the next service. Those of you who are interested are welcome to attend the adult English service following this service. For your safety, please obey the crossing guards and look both ways before crossing the street. Thank you for attending today's service.
bad about being evasive. We're watching this. He said, "Are you going to retire?" I said, "Sometime next year." Retire about next year. I said, "This is not definite." I said, "Well." Well, good morning. Good morning. Delvin here. Kansho today.
Yeah, right. I do the second one. David did the first one. Please, two of us, then it makes sense.
Okay.
Last Sunday we didn't do two words.
Oh, why?
Well, there's two mishaps. The first, John, the new, he stopped Kansho by the clock, waited 5 seconds or 1 minute. First service wasn't over, he stopped counting and the time. Now, even worse for him. I wasn't paying attention to the previous service. We had Nihongo service move up 1 week. I didn't know that. I didn't realize that. And so have a good time in the reception. As I count, oh, what's going on? So, we learned by mistake.
Absolutely.
Yeah, with all those three ministers. Yeah. Yeah, I had a good talk with them.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, they even came here to see how we conduct open temple.
let's get started.
Okay.
Namanda, namandos, namanda, namandos, namanda, namanda.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Gloria Yamauchi, and I'll be your chairperson for this morning's service. Just a reminder, there's no food or drinks in the Hondo, and if you wouldn't mind silencing your cell phones. Thank you. Do we have anyone attending for the first time today? Welcome. Would you like to introduce yourself? Thank you so much for attending. Welcome. Okay, we will begin this morning's service with Sambujo on page 24 in the large service book, followed by sutra chanting Junirai on page 67 in the large service book, and on page 20 in the Dharma School service book. These page numbers will be displayed on the front screen and on your monitors at home, so please follow along.
Namanda, 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 snamanda, namanda, namanda.
주이네요 본징이신 전효 센노 샤마타 교녀소부 료모 그조냐 그쇼랭에 봉아초라이미다손 맨센 조뇨망앗 이코유뇨센니징아 조뇨탱크구시라 봉아초라이미다손 논초다이 간지어주 저저며쇼쇼온 너무 큰게 너마게만 봉아초라이미나손 무비문문오쇼좀 셔텅개어개주뇨꼬구 쇼사리야 구동의지사이 봉아초라이미나손 집보묘몸모사슈 의료쇼마조산단 이쇼슈종간리기지음 공아초라이미나손 콘타이호켄지쇼케 쟁언쇼조면나이자 오히사조뇨센노 공아초라이미나손 집보쇼라이쇼부시 갱엔진스시안락 생모송엔조긍요 공아초라이미나손 효음은조문하토 야군요 스잉아츠넨 요로 이슈세포음여지 공아초라이미나손 이선무세츠무 아구며 야구문요니 아구노흠 셔닌시싱 교희손 공아초라이미나손 이손문요뱅교 무쇼슈 아구지시기 오조부타이시보나이 공아초라이미나손 나세주희송근홍우집 쇼셈허엔 요카이스이 종양우생문 쇼조샤 에세
Please rise for the Gatha Seiya on page 226 in the large service book. And then please remain standing for the three treasures, which is on page 3 in the small Dharma School service book.
Please join now in the three treasures on page 3 in the Dharma School service book. Hard is it to be born into human life, and now we are living it. Difficult is it to hear the teachings of the Blessed One, now we hear it. If we do not deliver ourselves in the present life, no hope is there that we shall be freed from suffering and sorrow in the ocean of birth and death. Let us reverently take refuge in the three treasures of the truth. I take refuge in Buddha. May we all together absorb into ourselves the principle of your way to enlightenment and awaken in ourselves our supreme will. I take refuge in Dharma. May we all together be submerged in the depth of the doctrine and gain wisdom as deep as the ocean. I take refuge in Sangha. May we all together become units in true accord in your life of harmony, in a spirit of universal oneness, freed from the bondage of selfishness. Even through ages of myriads of kalpas, hard is it to hear such an excellent, profound, and wonderful doctrine. Now we are able to hear and receive it. Let us thoroughly understand the true meaning of Tathagata's teaching. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Thank you. Please be seated.
And now, Dennis Akizuki will give this morning's Dharma talk.
Please join me in Gassho in reciting the Nembutsu. Namo Amida Butsu. 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 Good morning. Good to see you all here. Welcome to this morning service, and thank you for joining us in the Hondo, and thank you for watching at home. We're glad you can join us. So I thought it would be a good time to maybe talk a little bit about somebody who's mentioned often during services and who had a profound or has a profound impact on Shin Buddhism as we practice it today. He's depicted on the Onaijin. We talk about him all the time. First slide, Renyo. Renyo is actually, you can't see his face, but you see, go to the next slide. That's Renyo. You can't see his face. It's kind of difficult to see his face from the image. The image is on the left-hand side of Amida, and of course Shinran is on the right side. And Renyo was a descendant of Shinran, and he was the 8th head of our sect of Buddhism. Our sect of Buddhism is Jodo Shinshu Honganji Ha. So next slide. Renyo lived in a very turbulent, violent period in Japanese history. He was born in 1415, passed away in 1499. During that period, there was something called the Onin War, Civil War. And that war began the Sengoku era, which is the warring states. You see a lot of samurai films like Shogun. Shogun takes place in the warring states. This is a period of almost constant warfare that lasted from the 14th century, the 15th century, to the 16th century. So that's like 200 years. This is a period of really turmoil, religious turmoil, political turmoil, societal turmoil. Next slide. So Jodo Shinshu Honganji Ha today is the largest Buddhist sect in Japan, 10,000 temples, millions of followers. But in Renyo's time, it was kind of a small sect of Jodo Shinshu. There are other sects of Jodo Shinshu that are much larger, much more influential, much more powerful. What he did over his lifetime is he revitalized the Honganji, raising its profile and its influence. He emphasized things like gratitude and Jodo Shinshu teachings. He united the factions of Jodo Shinshu. He spread the Dharma, the teachings of the Buddha and Shin Buddhist teachings, by writing dozens of letters to followers that would read them out in the open, in the fields and in towns to people. He worked to broaden support for the sect. He standardized the religious rituals. Next slide. So I mentioned the letters, and we actually hear letters in services. The letters were a key way to reach more people. This is what the author Michael Solomon wrote about Renyo's letters. The letters are Gobunsho in the book Renyo and the Rise of the Honganji. He said, the language is even more direct and simple, making use of such rhetorical devices such as dialogues to hold the interest. Intended to be heard rather than read, they transmitted the message of the faith painlessly and effectively to a largely illiterate Monto followers. Next slide. So under his leadership, the Honganji began to grow, but maybe too much for some other sects of Buddhism. So in Rakuji, the powerful Tendai temple on Mount Hiei, they actually sent Sohei. Do you know what Sohei are? Sohei are warrior monks. Yes, there were warrior Buddhist monks in the feudal period. They sent Sohei to attack the Honganji, which was almost completely destroyed. Renyo had to flee for his life. And then he had to flee again when they kept on following him. And even after he got to a relatively safe place, there were threats to him and to Jodo Shinshu after that. Next slide. So these were dangerous times, not only for Renyo, but for members of the Sangha, right? There were actually some religious persecution because some sects of Buddhism thought that Jodo Shinshu preached heretical teachings. So just not just Renyo, but the followers had to endure this huge upheaval in life and all of the warfare. So he, in one of the letters that he wrote to the followers, to be read to the followers, he kind of summarized Shinran. He said, Shinran also carefully stipulated that we should observe the principles of humanity, justice, propriety, wisdom, and sincerity, that we should honor the laws of the state, and that deep within we should take other power of faith established by the primal vow as fundamental. So I'll repeat that. Shinran also carefully stipulated that we should observe the principles of humanity, justice, propriety, wisdom, and sincerity, that we should honor the laws of the state, and that deep within we should take other power of faith established by the primal vow as fundamental. And I actually got this from an article written by Reverend Ken Yamada, who is an Otaniha minister, actually and a friend of mine. Next slide, please. So what Renyo was advising was advising to members of the Sangha was maybe how they should live in this turbulent period. So he talked about other power, faith, and the primal vow. So there's self-power, right? We know self-power is I can achieve enlightenment through my own efforts. If I meditate enough, if I chant enough, if I do enough rituals. That's what Shinran was, a Tendai monk for 20 years of his life. That's what he did for 20 years. And he decided that self-power was not the way he could achieve enlightenment, that there's other power, and trusting that we are assured of enlightenment through the power of Amida Buddha. So in Pure Land Buddhism, this other power comes from Amida Buddha. This is a quote from actually Reverend Takashi Miyaji. So in Pure Land Buddhism, this other power comes from Amida Buddha. Through Amida Buddha, we realize there is no need to desperately seek truth. Truth is always there with every step of the way. Truth is not something one grasps. Rather, truth grasps the individual. Next slide, please. Okay, so then there's the primal vow, right? We hit a primal vow. The primal vow is this other power that accepts and embraces all of us and won't leave any of us behind in the path of enlightenment. We say Namo Amida Butsu in gratitude for this assurance of enlightenment, and also gratitude for everything that we have. Next slide, please. So Renyo is saying that faith and other power is our foundation, religious foundation. This is also what Shinran thought. So Shinran wrote, quote, "With a foolish being full of blind passions in this fleeting world, this burning house, all matters without exception are empty and false, totally without truth and sincerity. The Nembutsu alone is true and real." Next slide. So Renyo was again trying to kind of like give some suggestions, advice, maybe direction for people who are trying to survive in this turbulent era of upheaval, right? There's another basic teaching of Jodo Shinshu that probably he also kind of talked about, and undoubtedly did, impermanence, right? Everything changes. So we had 3 visiting ministers from Japan here, and I was asking them what would they say in a time of something catastrophic event. One of them, Reverend Yasutake, said that one of his teachers after the 2011 Tohoku earthquake and tsunami, the earthquake and tsunami that killed 20,000 people in Japan. One of his teachers talked about impermanence. Everything changes. I think in the Dharma school service, Rinban Sakamoto kind of evoked, like, in the darkness, you see that there's a light at the end. And I think that's part of that's part of the other power of faith, the primal vow, in impermanence. That the darkness may be here, but the light is out there. The light will shine again. Next slide, please. Renyo wrote about impermanence in a famous letter that is read at funerals. And if you've gone to funerals here, you've heard the full passage, but I'll just read part of it. When the winds of impermanence blow, our eyes are closed forever. And when the last breath leaves us, our face loses its color. Though loved ones gather and lament, everything is of no avail. The body is then sent into an open field and vanishes from this world with the smoke of cremation, leaving only the white ashes. There is nothing more real than this truth of life. The fragile nature of human existence underlies both the young and the old, and therefore we must, one and all, turn to the teaching of the Buddha and awaken to the ultimate source of life. By so understanding the meaning of death, we shall come to fully appreciate the meaning of life, which is unrepeatable and that is thus to be treasured above all else. By virtue of true compassion, let us realize the unexcelled value of our human existence, and let us live with the Nembutsu, Namo Amida Butsu, in our hearts. Next slide, please. So, do we merely accept the terrible things that are going on, and through back in Renyo's time and in our time, and wait for more change? I think Renyo, and in quoting Shinran, is saying not just about other power, the primal vow, and permanence. And I read some historians say that Renyo is trying to be apolitical, but he's also trying to give some advice, some instruction to the followers in that period, right? Not just something more concrete in everyday life that they could do, right? So remember, he said, we shall observe the principles of humanity, justice, propriety, wisdom, and sincerity. He also, backing up, he also said about obeying the laws, right? And you got to put that in context with the period. It was a very lawless time. There was war everywhere. We have one religious group attacking another religious group. So he advised that, obey the law. But then he said, we observe the principles of humanity, justice, propriety, wisdom, and sincerity. So I don't think observe in this context means observe like we watch. But I think the definition of observe, what Renyo is talking about, is the definition observe to fulfill and comply with. This is what you need to do, right? Be compassionate. Be peaceful and respect all. Be courteous. Try to act based on experience, knowledge, and understanding. And be genuine. We might also view the word justice in the context of the Eightfold Noble Path. Justice could be right action, right? An Eightfold Noble Path is one of the Buddha's 8 instructions how to overcome suffering. They're a guide how to live. So I think, in other terms, there are ways that Shin Buddhism can help us cope with the challenges in our lives, right? The darkness that happens that Rinban Sakamoto kind of evoked in his talk. Being part of the Sangha, being here, I think helps, right? I think attending services, chanting and hearing the Dharma together, socializing afterwards provides a measure of comfort, support, and reassurance. And so I think being a part of the Sangha, and Bishop Harada talks about that it's important to be part of a Sangha, not just read about Buddhism at home, right? He talks about nightstand Buddhists, right? That they read a lot about Buddhism, but they never engage with other Buddhists in a Sangha like we're gathered here today. So, Renyo talked, Shinran in the White Ashes talks about the winds of impermanence. And I don't think we can look at the winds of impermanence, or shouldn't look at the winds of impermanence as just regarding life and death. The winds of impermanence happen with everything, right? Your pen runs out of ink, the winds of impermanence. Major changes in our lives, major changes in the world, the winds of impermanence. So we can, one thing to be assured, that the winds of impermanence are going to blow. It blows one way, maybe a way that we don't like, but I think we have to realize that the winds will blow in another way, in a way that maybe we won't expect or anticipate, but they will blow. And I think, they may blow in a direction that we like better than the direction it's blowing now, but it will blow differently. And again, so other power, primal vow, impermanence, I think following some of the things that Renyo talked about, his instructions, and being here in the Sangha are ways that we can cope with challenges in our everyday lives. So hopefully I did okay in explaining that. Thank you very much for listening. Please join me in Gassho and Nembutsu. Namo Amida Butsu. 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 Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis, for that really interesting and thoughtful talk. Now, please rise for the Gatha Ondokusan II on page 76 in the small Dharma service book, and I think we'll be singing with a video.
Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Thank you. Please be seated.
Are there any announcements?
Good morning. I'm Kenji Akahoshi, and I'll be doing two classes. Actually, we've done three. We've done one last Wednesday, but this coming Wednesday, the 13th, and the following on November 20th at 7 o'clock, I'll be doing a class in the boardroom. It'll also be Zoomed. It's on a contemporary interpretation of Amida Buddha, Pure Realm, Nembutsu. So to add a contemporary angle or view of some of the things we do, this might be helpful in clarifying some of the things that you hear here. And we do have a sign-up list that I think Kevin has. If you're interested, give your name and email to him so that you can get the link for Zoom. Also, we'll have a handout, and I think there's a recording of last Wednesday's talk for those of you who may want to see that. So again, thank you.
Good morning. To piggyback off what Dennis said, as we try to get the Sangha to get together and do things socially as well as religiously, we have this Saturday community-wide curry cook-off. So this was started last year, and it was an attempt to have the community within Japantown come together for various events. So this is a joint venture by UI Kai, Niki Matsuri Foundation, Wesley Methodist, and us, the Betsu Inn here. So that'll be taking place this Saturday again from 5:30 to 7:30. There are flyers out in your Dharma newsletter. Some information, $30 for adults, $15 for children 6 to 12, and seniors 65 and over, and children 5 and under are free. So I'm only $15, like I said last week, because I'm old now. Let's see. Like I said last week, the way it works is we now have 8 or 9 cooks. As of a couple days ago, we only had 5 cooks, but we had some people from the committee volunteered to also cook. And so the way it works is you'll go in and then into the gym here, and there'll be trays with samples from each of the 8 or 9 curries, little 2-ounce cups. So you're supposed to try them all, and then you're supposed to vote on which one you think is best. And these are all going to be done anonymously, so they're going to be numbered 1 to 8 or 1 to 9 or something like that. So on the cups, I think there's going to be numbers on the cups, so 1, 2, etc. And so you'll go and you'll taste, and you'll go, ooh, that one's bad. Oh, this one's good. And then on the back of a card, you'll write down which one your favorite. You'll turn in the card. And then you'll go in and you'll get your dinner, and you'll say, okay, I want number 5. Even though I voted for number 4, I really want number 5. So you'll get rice and curry, and then we have other side dishes. Sorry, I couldn't memorize these, so I'm having to read this off of my little phone. So we're also going to have mac salad, edamame, gyoza, salad, shoyu hot dogs, and something called fukujin, pickled tsukemono. So, like I said in 9:30 service, I don't like that, but some of you will like that. So even if you don't like curry, there's going to be other stuff there to eat, especially for the kids. Maybe the kids don't like curry as much, but who doesn't like shoyu hot dogs? So, and I love gyoza. So, anyway, and there'll be dessert being supplied by the women's group from Wesley and RBWA. So, and again, if you don't like any of those curries, all you have to do is say, I want the backup curry made by Moshel Katokura that's hidden in the back. So at Moshel's part of I'm part of the committee, and Moshel's part of the committee. So we've been having dinner meetings, and one of us makes curry for each of these meetings. So this past week, for our meeting, Moshel made it, and it was excellent. So I would vote for that one. You won't know, but my wife and I are also making curry, so we're actually competing. But you're not going to know which one it is, because it's not going to be labeled like the best Buddhist curry or something like that. So you'll find out really quickly. Oh, so the one that tastes really bad, that's the one I made. So okay. Again, if you want to sign up today, we have these. I think we have some of these flyers in the back. All you have to do is scan the QR code, and you can pay today. And if you don't want to do that, just find me, and I'll have this. Okay, thanks.
Okay, well, this concludes this morning's service. Thank you so much to Rinban Sakamoto, Dennis Akizuki, Sumi Tanabe, organist Michael Yoshihara, and our AV coordinator, Paul Endo. And thank you to everyone for attending. Please feel free to come forward and offer incense, and for sure join us for refreshments in the garden area. Thank you.
Looks like refreshments will be in the multipurpose room. So the refreshments will be in the multipurpose room, not the garden.
Sensei.
Oh, you're cool.
Okay. Hey, man.
Okay, I'm trying to stay warm.
Yeah.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good job singing. I live in the back. One of the homeless guys.
Good morning. No, he said it was decided at the meeting.
Thanks for coming.
It's fourth time. Fourth time. Oh. Yeah, so now it's a pattern. Now it's hopefully.
How are you? Yeah, you okay?
Yeah, I'm
Good.
Yeah, Dennis. Thank you. Nice to meet you, Matthew.
Good morning.